Hello, everyone. One of the items being discussed across the news sources is the mineral deal that finally has been signed between U.S. and Ukraine. However, there is a problem. The two sides released only the bare bones of the deal. It talks about the minerals fund and the 50-50 split, but the exact terms of the deal are not known at this time. Understandably, Ukrainian government is trying to present this as a positive thing because nobody wants to admit to the world that they've been swindled. And again, I'm not saying necessarily they have been swindled, but going back to how the deal was presented in the past and not having seen the full text of it, it's really hard to tell. Of course, the biggest question is, what does Ukraine get out of it? Again, if you recall, basically, Trump wanted access to Ukrainian minerals to pay for the aid that was provided up to this point, because he doesn't understand what the word aid actually means. And we also know that the numbers released of how much aid was actually provided to Ukraine were extremely inaccurate and nowhere close to the truth. The $300 billion number that's been circulated is tremendously inflated by 4 or 5 times. Ukraine was saying that we shouldn't have to pay for that because you pledged to aid us under the conditions of the Budapest Memorandum. But if you want something in the future, we can talk about that. So basically, not paying for the aid that's already been given, but for any aid that comes in the future. So this is why it's important for us all to see what exactly did they sign. What exactly did they agree to? And when does it come into effect? Because here's the thing. Ordinarily, any such agreement with a foreign power has to be approved by the Rada, Ukrainian parliament. And I'm just trying to understand, how is it going to work in this case? Because we had one person who flew to the United States to sign it. Again, also notice, it's Ukrainian representation, Ukrainian representatives, delegation going to the States instead of the other way around. So there is a lot of unanswered questions there, and I'm kind of hoping that they're addressed sometime soon. And Russia is watching this too. And they are presenting it that basically the talented and clever Trump had forced Ukraine to pay for the American aid. Again, not saying that that is the case, but we need to understand what's in there. And I am concerned about this because I'm concerned how this U.S. administration might spin the conditions of the deal. Meanwhile, when it comes to the overall state of war, the wheels continue to spin worthlessly. Vance says Ukraine and Russia face a very big gulf when it comes to peace plan demands. Really? Really? You're just figuring that out? That wasn't obvious to you before? Wow. Well, I'm glad it finally dawned on you. Putin continues to demand Ukrainian territory. I already said that before. It doesn't matter what kind of pressure U.S. applies on him. This man does not understand diplomacy. He doesn't care about the sanctions. He is not going to yield to anything unless it impacts him personally. And then, even then, it's a question as to what he might do. CNN suddenly decided to grow some balls and fact-check Trump on his statement that he said he could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours as a joke. Aside from the atrocious notion of joking about something where people are dying, he forgets that the internet does not forget. So CNN presented a list of over 50 examples during which Trump mentioned that he could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours during his 2023-2024 campaign. And I asked this question before. If you were joking, why did you keep saying it? If you understood the complexity of the problem, why did you keep speaking nonsense about it? And then, of course, there is a material point. The war still continues. It hasn't gone anywhere. There's been another major strike on the Black Sea port of Odessa, in which 2 people were killed, at least 15 people were injured. There is an article about it in Associated Press, including photographs of the damage. And Ukraine is rightfully saying, look, everybody, we're talking about a ceasefire. Why can't Russia just stop firing now? Why are they continuing to fire on civilians? You know, if they wanted to keep fighting at the front line involving strictly military personnel, okay, fine. That would at least have some kind of logic. But why? Why do they keep murdering Ukrainian civilians? Why do they keep doing that? They can stop at any times. Why do they keep firing on hospital, apartment buildings, schools? And why, most importantly, after that has happened, after more civilians were killed, are you pressuring Ukraine to negotiate with these monsters? Sadly, those questions remain unanswered. More to come.